in which we can sit for hours and be very healthy. With the chair, the asana went away. Padmasana went away. All asanas went away, correct? And we have all our pain in our back and whatever else that follows, including myself. But the question that I am asking is that today in the Europe, you have chairs where you take rest under the knees, like this. There is no back support, right? There are chairs like that. They are coming back to creating chairs which make it possible to sit, rest on your knees. हम लोग तो अभी भी इसी चेयर पे लगे हुए हैं. So when we talk about Renaissance, we will have to ask some fundamental questions about the architecture, about the furniture, about the way we sit, about the way we think, about the way we do the things. Every question will have to be asked. There's nothing we can leave unasked, unquestioned. And that stage has come to my mind, where we must start asking hard questions about everything. This is what happened during Charvak period I mentioned yesterday. I don't know if anybody of you, did anybody do homework on Charvaks? Charvak were very clever. So during 2200 years BC, mind you one thing more, we call that as a golden period of our history. Isn't it? 2200, the Buddhist period is the golden period of our history. You know why? Because the rulers at that time, you will be shocked, but don't mind my saying this. The rulers of the time were Dalit. The Mauryas were Dalit. They were so-called scheduled caste. The only time in our history when rulers were Dalit, we call that golden period of our history. It's a very significant point. One reason why we should at least complement the Buddhism and Buddhist period is because they had elevated the skill to the highest level. Because the logic, the Buddhist logic is one of the most advanced logic ever produced. Because they would question everything. Unfortunately, the Dark Ages followed. 7th century, 6th century, 8th century, and then we got into the 11th century came, and then the invasion started and followed a terrible period of our history. But the fact of the matter is that it happened because we lost track of a logic which did not devalue someone who was skilled. That was a time when skilled people were most valued. They were weighed in gold. There was no discrimination. Forget about discrimination. There was celebration of the skill. There were discourses. There were debates, and the logic became so important. So my point was that our mind is still colonized. Incidentally, a small digression. If you go to Google and you search on colonized mind, the first 2.5 pages will be about a song with the title Colonized Mind. On the third page, you will find a sociological reference to what it means to have colonized mind. If therefore you were to follow Google and do your inquiry, pursue your inquiry, you are trapped. Because 90% of the people do not go beyond 2 pages. 98%. 90% don't go beyond the first page of a search, isn't it? Correct? So you will think colonized mind means a song. That is so much about the Google. So those who want to build their scholarly foundation on the basis of Google should know how defective Google as a tool, search engine is for someone who wants to use it, particularly our children, our young people. They do not know how much manipulation is. That's why I wrote the first obituary of Google. The first obituary I wrote. Because I thought this is not the right way. We should not be using such search engines. I mean, it may have other strengths, it's okay. But its downfall is imminent. I can see that. Because it is, there's a student of IIIT Allahabad who did a small project with me, two of them, and I give them a problem. I said, look, this song, now I don't want this song to come in the first 2 pages. Tell me an answer. And they did a wonderful job. They did it. So when you write cricket, their search engine which they designed gives you two clusters, cricket as an insect, cricket as a sport. Interesting, isn't it? Now you decide which cricket you are interested in. And there are a lot of words around that cluster. So you can press about the whole variables in insect ecology and the sports. Google doesn't do that. What I am trying to say is, when it comes to questioning, please do not go by the reputation, whether it is Anil Gupta or it is Google. It doesn't really matter what reputation a person has, or an institution has, or an idea has. So long as we continue to be overawed by the reputations, reputational capital it is called, reputational capital, we will not be able to have renaissance in our life. We have to demolish all the demons of reputation. All those who have become famous, for good reasons. But obviously, there must be some need, some scope for asking questions, and we have to ask those questions. So before we break, and when you come back, we will discuss about the nature dependent and market dependent, and how the questioning ability arises much more in the nature dependent societies and much less in the market dependent society, because in market dependent society, choices for you are made by the communication by the ad agencies, isn't it? Somebody else is telling you what is good for you and you accept it. So if your child doesn't have a Barbie doll, the life is miserable. What do you mean? I can't show my face to my friends in the school if I don't have this model of Barbie doll. Isn't it? Oh my goodness. What a great tragedy. Because somebody is conditioning what choices, what consumption, what way we should think. Where is the choice? Somebody has already made that choice for us. Whereas in nature dependent societies, we are creating our own benchmarks, and I will show you many examples of how beautiful those benchmarks are. But that is after the break. Let's break.